Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Show Must Go On Season 2. This is presented to you by the UP Voice and Music Theater Guild in partnership with the UP College of Music Student Council, Dietz Müller, and Kaiserburg Pianos. I am Keiko Kayanga.
And I am Luke Stephen Thompson, and we are your hosts for tonight's show. So just a little background. The UP Voice and Music Theater Guild, fondly called the UPVMTG, is an organization composed of voice majors and singing enthusiasts. It was established back in 2009 under the chairmanship of Professor Catherine Molina. The organization's mission is to bring vocal music to fellow Filipinos for greater appreciation of the performing arts through projects, outreaches, and concerts.
Yes, so last February, we premiered the second season of The Show Must Go On with the Songs of Love to celebrate the Valentine's Week. And then the week after that, we presented to you the Tinig ng Malaya to commemorate the anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolutions. And just a couple of weeks ago, pinagbunyi naman natin lahat ng mga kababaihan sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo with a woman's ardor.
Ayun, thank you so much, Keiko, for that recap. And you know what? We actually have very special guests to join us. Like in the previous episodes, based on order of appearance, we had the one and only Miss Camille Lopez Molina, Mr. Edru Abraham, and Miss Elena Mirano to grace us with their presence. But Keiko, what will we be celebrating for tonight's episode?
Oo nga, ano nga ba, Luke? So for tonight's show, we will be celebrating World Theater Day. And we will be hearing a lot, some of the well-loved musical performances from our artists, our very special artists. And not only that, mayroon din tayong special guest. And hindi lang isa to. Dalawa silang special guest natin. So look, excited ka na ba? Kasi ako, super excited na talaga ako. Kanina ko pa hinihintay ito.
Grabe, Keiko, parang, wait, there's more. And that's such a treat that we have two guests for tonight. Yes. And would you want to actually introduce who our first guest speaker is?
Of course. So for our first speaker, he is an actor, a singer, a storyteller, and a voice artist who received his master's in music theater from the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. He has performed in plays and musicals in the Philippines, in Asia, and as well in UK as well. He has also done commercial, TV, voice, film work in the Philippines and internationally. Aside from performing, he also has extensive work experience with international companies and institutions such as the Walt Disney Company, the Natural History Museum London, and Kidsania. Diba? He currently collaborates with different artistic groups around the world in devising creative work and performances for online setup. He is also an assistant professor of performance studies at the University of the Philippines. So, let us all welcome Mr. Earle Figuracion.
Hello, everyone. Hi, good evening,
Mr.
everyone. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for
thank
being
you.
with us tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Yun, thank you so much. And now, as we said, we have more than one guest tonight. So let me just bring the curriculum vitae of our next guest. Just kidding. So here we have. So our next guest speaker, she is a voice alumna of the UP College of Music. She has been performing locally and internationally for musical theater and opera production since 2009, working with both professional and university-based based companies. She worked for the Walt Disney Company for more than 3 years, initially as a main stage performer on the Disney Cruise Line, and then as a lead vocalist in Hong Kong Disneyland. She took her master's in music theater at also the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama under the University of London and graduated with distinction. Wow. Shortly after graduation,
Wow.
she made her debut during the national tour of Cat in the Hat, where she captivated different generations of audiences all over the United Kingdom. She was last seen on stage for the UK tour of Amélie, the musical, where she was the cover for the title role. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Miss Charley Magalit.
Hello,
Yes.
everybody. Good evening.
Welcome, Miss
Good evening to you.
Hi. Thank you for having me here in
Yes,
your
we are very
program.
honored to have you both here with us tonight.
Thank you so much. All right, we're so looking forward to the discussion for this evening. I think it's going to be
Yes.
exciting, don't you think so, Earl?
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm just so pumped to talk about like stuff, especially today because it's I don't know. It's just great timing, I think, for it to be World Theater Day today and us having a conversation about the very art form that we are involved in. It's very nice. Yeah, it's very
Yes, it's
timely.
perfect timing. And to celebrate, of course, like we have so much performers today. I'm so excited to watch
Yes.
each and every
Yeah,
one
I'm
of
so
the
excited.
performers.
Yeah, I know some of them and I haven't seen them in a long while. So it'll be so refreshing to see them, perform once more, especially in this setup.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you so much, Paul, once again. And as we have mentioned earlier, tonight we are celebrating World Theater Day. So, ano nga po ba ang World Theater Day? Can you give us a briefing of what the World Theater Day really is and what is it about and why do we celebrate World Theater Day?
Go ahead, ladies first.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to take this?
So yeah, sure. So actually, World Theater Day started in 1962, and it's celebrated by the International Theater Institution. So it's for everyone, for theater practitioners, for theater enthusiasts. So everybody who appreciates theater and sees it as an art form
Yeah.
and
An
sees the
interest
value of it.
Yeah, a very interesting thing as to, the reason why World Theater Day came to be and why the ITI or the International Theater Institute made the initiative is because they wanted World Theater Day as a wake-up call for governments all around the world to recognize and realize the potential of musical theater and music theater, or basically theater in like as a general form, as a force for economic growth and development. So they wanted to tell the governments of the world that, hey, we're not just performers and art. We actually do contribute to the economy, and we are a great force in moving the economy. Yeah. It's also under the patronage of the UNESCO, so it is like highly educational, and it has one of the things that is looked forward to with World Theater Day annually, aside from the performances from all around the world, and aside from everybody celebrating it, is that uh, for each year they invite a figure of world stature, basically someone who is very influential, who is involved in the theater, and then they are asked to give a message, a reflection about their practice, about their experiences, and then they share that message to the world, and that's circulated around the globe, translated into more than like 20 languages.
Mhm.
Wow, that was quite an amazing
Yes.
idea, an event rather. But I have actually another question in regard to World Theater Day. So, Sir Earle and Ma'am Charley, back during your student days, how would you locally celebrate World Theater Day back in your UP days?
To be very honest with you, I only heard about World Theater Day maybe a couple of years ago, and I never really celebrated it, but apparently it's a big thing, and it's so good to know that it we can actually celebrate our art in this day and really promote it to everybody. So yeah, maybe
Yeah.
next year we can celebrate more of it, like during doing performances like this one.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah. Actually, yeah, because even if it's in this online setup, they are still celebrating it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the performances are online. I mean, like this year's celebration is online. I mean, there's a program in their website. They're streaming it as well, or they will be streaming it as well because they follow UK time, I think. So they're a bit behind. And the figure this year is Dame Helen Mirren, so that's great. And for me, yeah, same with Charlie. I actually just knew of World Theatre Day when I was already like really active in the theater, and that was like just a few years ago, uh, a little bit before I went to London, uh, and it wasn't intentional, but I seem to always be watching a theater play during World Theater Day. Like I would always be watching like a performance of sorts, like not a play, but a performance or a performance event. So I guess that's my way of celebrating it on by myself.
Wow, that seems really fun. I actually wish we celebrated it a bit more here in our college
Yes.
college
Mhm.
environment. Anyways,
I
Jacob,
agree.
you want to ask any more questions to our dear guests?
Uh, Given this time of pandemic, could you share with us your experience with your most recent project during this pandemic? Would you like to, could you give us your experience on how you handled it? Uh, how were you able to gather people to communicate with the artist?
Yeah.
All those.
Should I? Do you want me to
Go
take this
ahead,
one,
Earl.
Mark? So, well, for me, I was fortunate enough to head the project just late last year, and it was released just early this year. So that was an international project, and that basically, because of the online setup, it required a lot of Zoom meetings, and we were working with an international team, so we were conscious of four different time zones, and you were making sure that schedules were matching. So I think that's one. I always say this when I'm asked about that experience. I think that's both what that is a good thing that happened despite the awful horrible situation which we are all in right now. I mean, it's opened that possibility of collaborating with people across the globe, even if you're on different time zones, for a single project, and realizing that project, and it can be made online. So that is awesome. And Charlie has also experienced loads of that during this time, and I mean, she'll tell you more about it.
Yeah, so actually, I was part of Earl's project that we were talking about earlier. It's called Cuento Monogatari. So it's revisited stories of Japan and eventually of the Philippines, and we got to voice characters. So I was one of the characters in one of the three stories, and it was so much fun because you learn from so many people from all around the world. Again, the challenges were trying to just fit into schedules and making sure that one person wasn't up at 5 in the morning because we would be rehearsing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. But obviously, we have to adapt as artists. We are always taught to adapt in our environment. So I remember having to perform in a virtual performance in the Philippines. So I was here in France. I was performing in the afternoon, but it was a party in the evening, a virtual party in the evening in the Philippines. So that
Wow.
was that was a first for me, and I did my whole setup with my lights and everything, and I had to make it look like it was nighttime at noon. So that was great.
Whoa.
And
Oh,
So you
obviously,
have
like,
like your own production team. Isn't that
exactly.
that's
yes.
fascinating?
And you just have to go with the flow, and I think that's what's despite the pandemic, despite all of the things that are happening, it does teach us something. It teaches us to be strong and adaptable as artists. And yeah, I hope that each and every one of us can find, the good things that we've taken from this
Yeah.
whole experience.
Yeah, actually, Dame Mirren in her message this year actually mentioned that, like, that because we are us artists, we are insecure, basically. In the most basic sense of the term, that it's not stable, and it's because of that latent insecurity that we are able to adapt to this situation. It's a beautiful way of putting it, and I think that is very true to most of us, that despite the hardship, despite this being such a very difficult time, artists are still creating and still pushing towards that goal and that ideal. So that's a very admirable thing that we are all doing, and we should all remember that, I think.
Yes, I agree. It's very challenging this time of pandemic, but I think uh, it really gave us an opportunity to break boundaries,
Mhm.
to get out of our comfort zones. Talagang pinakita sa atin na there are many ways para
Yeah,
ma-share natin yung the gifts that we have to people, na
yeah.
That's
especially
very
because
true.
they need it so much. We need it so much ngayong we are experiencing everything.
Actually, yes, I do agree with Keiko. And especially like something with having this quote unquote millennial generation that are so technologically innovative. More and more people in the performing arts world are getting to learn how to use this innovative technology and, hybridize digital and theater arts. And, it's really nice that even though that there's a lot happening out there, it's really tumultuous times out there, we're seeing at least a new age arise in the world of performing arts, truly. And now, Keiko,
Yeah.
are we ready to present the performers for tonight's show? Performances, rather.
Okay. Okay. Yes, so let us welcome you once again with the performances of the first performance, first number of Mr. Ramon in Francia. This is I Cannot Hear the City.
I cannot hear the city. I cannot hear a sound. The roar and rush become a hush whenever you're around. The thin, thin I peered through windows, watched life go by, dreamed of tomorrow, and wondered why the past was holding me, keeping life at bay. I wandered lost in yesterday, wanting to fly, but scared to try. But if someone like you found someone like me, and suddenly nothing would ever be the same. My heart's taken wing, and I feel so alive. If someone like you found me, so many secrets I long to share. All I have needed is someone there to help me see a world I've never seen before. I love to open every door to set me free, so I can soar. If someone like you found someone like me, and then suddenly nothing would ever be the same. There'd be a new way to live, a new way to love. If someone like you found
full of choices. No one ever mentions fear or how the world can seem so vast. On a journey to the past. Somewhere down this road, I know someone's waiting. Years of dreams just can't be wrong. Arms will open wide, I'll be safe and wanted. Finally home where I belong. Well, starting now, I'm learning fast on this journey to the home, love, family. There was once a time I must have had them too. Home, love, family. I will never be complete until I find you. One step at a time, one hope at another. Who knows where this road may go? Back to who I was, on to find my future. Things my heart still needs to know. Yes, let this be a sign. Let this road be mine. Let it lead me to my past and bring me home at
Wow, what spectacular performances we just heard, starting with I Cannot Hear the City, performed by Ramon Tenefrancia from the musical Sweet Smell of Success, and followed by, what again was the next song? Let me double check. Oh, Someone Like You was the title. If not mistaken, it's from the musical Jekyll and Hyde, performed by our only one and only Kuya Kevin Almario. And song 3 being Journey to the Past, actually a crowd favorite, being from the animated film Anastasia, later on a Broadway premiered musical theater play performed by Francesca Mata, my dear friend. Hello there, Beshi. Hello, Cheesecake. Anyways, grabe. Diba,
Grabe, no? First segment pa lang.
First
So, itanungin
segment.
naman natin ang ating mga viewers. Share nyo naman sa amin kung anong favorite musicals nyo. Please comment down below.
Oh, nga, no? Actually, let's ask si Ma'am Charley and Sir Earle, and even you, Keiko, what are your favorite musicals so far? And what's your favorite song from that musical?
Oh, that's Charlie. Go answer this one first.
My ano talaga fan. My okay, I have two. The classic musical that I love that's been playing for a long time now is Les Miserables. And my favorite song from there is A Little Fall of Rain. And then another musical is Light in the Piazza. I so love that.
Were you able to see that in London when it ran?
No, I was not in London anymore. I was so sad. so sad. But yes, it was it's absolutely beautiful. No, I was actually touring while it was running, so I couldn't watch it. But yeah, Light in the Piazza, Sopranos, learn something from Light in the Piazza. Yes, tenors as well. learn something from there. It's a beautiful musical for
Yeah.
legit voices.
Yeah.
And it's quite difficult. It's not because they say na oh musical theater is easy. It's not. It's actually quite varied.
No, it is not.
No,
It is not.
it's not.
Oh,
It requires a lot
Charlie,
of discipline.
Charlie,
Yes.
we have a very interesting fact about Light in the Piazza. Like the one who made the score actually is
Yes,
yeah.
is
Go share.
so oh my goodness, not the person who made the score but the person who conducted for the
The
very
one who
first
conducted,
premiere
yes.
is our teacher,
Yes,
Mr. Julian
Julian.
Kelly. He was our
Julian
ensemble
Kelly.
teacher in our school.
Um,
Amazing
a
person.
master. Seriously, to be
Yes,
taught by that
he's a
man.
Jedi.
He's a Jedi of musical theater or something. But yeah. Oh man, that
Absolutely.
I miss Julian. But to answer that question, oh goodness. Oh goodness. I mean, it's kind of weird because the musicals that I really do like so far, that the ones that I can say that I really like, I have not actually seen. Um, so the first one is Big Fish, and yes, I just love the music. I listened to the entire cast recording on Spotify, and I'm just so in love with the music. It's great. You should listen to it. That's by Andrew Lipa. And then the second one is goodness me, what is the second one? I'll get back to it. But from the ones I've seen, I do like the music. I don't, maybe the story not so much, but I do like the music of Caroline or Change, which ran last year. Sharon D. Clark won a BAFTA for that as best actress. So that was really good. Like the music there was amazing. So yeah, yeah, Big Fish. Oh, and of course, how can I forget Finding Neverland? I love the music in Finding
Yes,
Neverland.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love the music in Finding Neverland. Yeah, it's kind of obscure. My favorite ones are kind of obscure. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting to hear. And sometimes
Yeah.
there are a lot of hidden gems outside of the mainstream musical theater
Definitely,
tradition.
Mhm.
How about you,
Mm.
Keiko, my co-host? What's your favorite musical theater show and your favorite song from said show?
There's, I think my current favorite is Dear Evan Hansen. Yeah, I
Ooh,
really love
grabe.
it. I love it so much. I whenever I listen to the music, I feel nostalgic because when I first heard it, we were touring, and the weather it just gives you that feels. And right now, parang binabalik niya yung feeling na ganun. So my uh, favorite song, You Will Be Found.
Oh,
Right
that's
now,
such a
currently, yeah,
that
it's really nice.
song.
How about you,
Grabe.
Lo?
Well, thanks for asking. Actually, I can think of two musicals. Let's start one with Fun Home. I was able to watch a bootleg
Fun
version
Home.
on YouTube, but I watched the local production of the Atlantis, was it company?
Yes.
So I watched it with my dad, and I guess my favorite song would have to be the very comedic "Changing My Major." I laughed. I really laughed. And another musical that I really liked was Vincent de Jesus's Kung Paano Ka Naging Leading Lady.
Yeah.
Particularly, yeah, it's a really nice musical. Actually, I saw the Ateneo Blu-ray production of this musical, and by far my favorite song from that would have to be Kasalanan Ko. I mean, it's so dramatic. Anyways, wow, grabe talaga, the power of musical theater. Am I right, Keiko?
Yes, you're right. So, uh, we want to know, Miss Charlie and Sir Earl, how is the Philippine theater similar or different from the theaters abroad?
There's so many answers to that.
Mhm.
Isn't
There
there,
are.
Charlie? I don't think we
Please
can
go on.
answer all of it. But I think generally, I think the major differences would be, and I might get stoned for this, but who cares? It's the practices. The practices are very different. In the UK, it's more. I mean, it's more collaborative rather than directive, dare I say. But I mean, I haven't been part of Filipino productions recently, so I really don't know. But from my experience, it's that I noticed that it's the process is more collaborative in the sense that in the rehearsal room or in the creation process, the director is more of a facilitator in the UK, and then it's just you as actors, you are expected to bring so much into the creative process. Like you really have to pitch in, and that was a major. That's a fun. That's a very interesting experience for me because went. when I went and when we had our school productions for for the master's program, all of a sudden I had to be more. I had to initiate more rather than wait for instruction, and
Yeah.
it was an adjustment. It was a big adjustment. So I think that's one major thing. What about you,
Yeah, just
Charlie Love?
just to piggyback on that thought, actually we had this director. She's this wonderful woman who taught us acting, Miss Emma Kaplan. She told us that if you just direct your actors what to do, where to stand, how to do things, they don't actually become creatives. They are not using their creative juices. They are not thinking. You're just creating. They are just bodies that you want to do things with. So where is the creative in that, right? Where's the creativity in that if you just do that to your actors? So maybe food for thought for actors, as well as aspiring directors, to maybe our generation will be the ones to change practices, or if it isn't already being
adapt
changed, or
practices.
adapt. Yes.
Yeah, adapt practices. I mean, aside from that, uh, practices, and I mean, a major difference as well is that in the UK there's a clear cut intermediary between the actors and the production. I mean, through like Spotlight and Equity, they have unions there. Here in the Philippines, we don't have that. We don't have that strong a union as creatives, and you can really see the effect of that in the weight that artists have in the UK. They have so much pull. Artists have so much pull there because they are unionized, and it works for them, not just professionally, but also like personally as well, because you stand together. You all are you all watch out for each other. You're safe basically because you have these safeguards that are there to
Exactly.
protect you as artists.
And that helped a lot, artists in the UK, during the pandemic, who could not work. So because of the union, artists who had nothing, could actually ask for help during the pandemic, which, as in the Philippines, it's quite difficult. We had to, like, I saw some groups raising funds for backstage people because not a lot had enough money during the pandemic and there was no work. So I feel that having a union really is important, and it may be something that we can adapt in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, ultimately, and this is one of the biggest biggest observations, and actually biggest of kind of a frustration is that in the UK, maybe because the art form has been with them, it's like way
Since
before,
Shakespeare.
since way before that
Way
actually.
before Shakespeare.
It's theater for them is a necessity, and
Mhm.
and uh, and that manifests through, like, even in simple details like how cheap the tickets are sometimes. Theater is so accessible to the masses there. And because I remember, like me, I watched Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is this highly acclaimed play, right? And it was running at the Palladium, and I got my ticket for £5, and I was in the front seat. So that's how accessible it could be. Um, and I guess here in the Philippines, we need to work on making theater more accessible, and I guess more affordable to people, that so that the range of it expands to more people, and then its reach can be greater.
Mhm.
Wow, that's really something to ponder upon.
Mhm. So I
Yeah.
mean, just basic
I think
differences.
go on.
No, I
Basic.
mean,
Go on.
I mean, just observations to us. Go, go, go.
Other differences that I've noticed are casting. So everything is really fixed in the UK. So we have casting directors, we have agents, we have a platform called Spotlight where you can put yourself up and agents and directors can see you. So
Which is
it's
both good
very
and bad
standardized.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's good and
Sometimes it's
bad.
good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's really helpful, but
Hmm.
mostly there to work in our favor.
Hmm. But then at the same time we can't really compare because in the Philippines we it's so concentrated in the metro, and in the UK you can see theaters all over. There are
Yeah,
regional
yeah,
theaters. There's a theater in every city, in every town, so there is
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah.
comparison is really, it's quite
Yeah,
unfair
it's
if we
hard.
say.
Yeah, I know, I know. Yeah, I guess that's also one, right? I mean, in the UK, it's everywhere, and
Hmm.
theater and plays their tour like everywhere in the country because it's easier as well. You know, they're just one landmass. I mean, we are an archipelago, so it's
mm,
hard to
To
yeah.
tour.
logistically move our shows. But maybe that's also something that yeah, and that's something we can look into. And I know that here in the Philippines there are some I mean, pre-pandemic there were emerging theater companies like in Cebu and I know there was one in ah am I saying this right, in Dumaguete, some like in the provinces, they were sprouting and it was so exciting, but then this happened, so it just delayed all of us.
And still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that is true. And you know what? Actually, this is a very exciting prospect. Like, I can't wait for once everyone has recovered from the
Mm,
pandemic, like the possibilities of all these different new theater companies. And I mean, even though it's concentrated in the metropolitan, hey, the metropolitan theater is under construction. So,
Yes,
hurrah!
opening.
That's true. More performance spaces for our actors and our musicians.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually a very interesting thing. But I actually am curious, personally, how would both of you define music theater in your personal understanding or
Oh.
personal conceptions?
Go, Charlie, take this one.
I have to think. I have to stop and ponder and and think about how to say it. I feel like if I it musical theater. So if we think about musical theater, it actually roots from opera, right? But then singing wasn't enough. We needed to express it in a different way. So and like stage plays, um when an emotion is contained into just spoken line, I feel like it wasn't enough, so they had to sing. And if the song wasn't enough to contain that emotion, then they had to dance, and musical theater was born. It's a combination of all of those beautiful script, beautiful lyrics, beautiful choreography and dancing that actually reaches into, talks about real life, shows us the reality that not a lot of people are brave enough to tell.
Yeah. I
There you
think
go.
Mm,
I forget now who told this. I forget now who I received this from. It was from a very very good conversation, but I cannot for the life of me remember who told this to me. They said that musical theater is an amalgamation, or a synergy of of many ways of telling a story, basically. Through movement, through acting, through music, through it's basically a collective art form that comes into that comes into this beautiful piece of work. And most of the time it's stories that are not necessarily told, or
Mhm.
cannot be told simply without these elements that are combined together. So and that was, I mean, that was actually, we see that as a trend actually in the Philippines and the UK both. I mean, and universally, there are stories all around that. Like for example, everyone's talking about Jamie or Kinky Boots, those kinds of stories. Or here in the Philippines, what's this, Rack of Ages or
Yeah.
El Bibo. Those stories, you can't really tell them by taking away one of the elements that comprises musical theater now, can you? So I think it's that. It's music, for me, if I were to define it in my own ways, music theater or musical theater is that. It's a synergy of several art forms coming together to tell a unique story, a story that can only be told with all of these elements combined, which is why it's so collaborative and so rich.
Wow, thank you so much, dear guests, for your explanations. Grabe. Well, those are so many different perspectives, and really, I learned a lot from just
Yeah.
listening to this discussion. And by the way, the next set of songs we'll be listening to would be songs by Schoenberg and Andrew Lloyd Webber, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, this next song will be actually a duet performance, so we're actually excited. So, Keiko, are you ready for the next song?
I'm ready. Yes,
Here
I'm
we
excited.
go.
Let's hear it. Ah,
No more talk of darkness. Forget these wide-eyed fears. I'm here. Nothing can harm you. My words will warm and calm you. Let me be your freedom. Let day and night dry your tears. I'm here with you, beside you, to guard you and to guide you.
Every waking moment, turn my head with talk of summertime. Serenade me with you now and always. Promise me that all you say is true. That's all I ask of you.
Let me be your shelter. Let me be your light. You're safe. No one will find you. Your fears are far behind you.
All I want is freedom, a world with no more night, and you always beside me, to hold me and to hide me.
Then say, oh, shall we be one love, one lifetime? Let me lead you from your solitude. Say you need me, will you here beside you? Anywhere you go, let me go too. Christine, that's all I ask of
Say you'll share with me one love, one lifetime. Say the word and I will follow you.
Share each day with
Each night, each morning, say you love
you
me.
know I do love me. That's all I ask Slowly, gently, lighten Earle's splendor. Grasp it, sense it, tremulous and tender. Turn your face away from the garish light of day. Turn your thoughts away from those unfeeling light, and listen to the music of the night. Close your eyes and surrender to your darkest dreams. Purge your thoughts of the life in you before. Close your eyes, let your spirit start to soar. And you live as you've never lived before. Softly, tenderly, music shall caress you. Hear it, feel it, secretly possess you. Open up your mind, let your fantasies unwind in this darkness which you know you cannot fight. The darkness of the music of the night. Let your mind start a journey to a strange new world. Leave all thoughts of the life you knew before. Let your soul take you where you long to be. Only then you belong to me. Floating, falling, sweet intoxication. Trust, touch, savory sensation. Let the dream begin. Let your darkest side give in to the power of the music that I write. The power of the music of the night. One who can make my song take flight. Help me make the music of the There's grief that can't be spoken. There's pain goes on and on. Empty chairs and empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. Here they talked of revolution. Here it was they lit the flame. Here they sang about tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. From the table in the corner, they could see a world reborn. When rose with voices ringing, and I can hear them now, the very words they have sung became the last communion on this lonely barricade. At dawn, my friends, forgive me that I live and you are gone. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain that goes on and on. Phantom faces at the windows, phantom shadows on the floor, empty chairs and empty tables, where my friends will meet no more. Oh, my friends, don't ask me what your sacrifice was for. Empty chairs and empty tables, now my friends will meet no more.
Wow, those again were wonderful performances, grabe. With song number 4 being a duet of all things. I was actually surprised. This was All I Ask of You from the musical Phantom of the Opera. Tama pala ako, Andrew Lloyd Webber. So this was presented by Zid Garcia. Hi, batchmate! And Yvette Arcon. Hi, bestie! And Music of the Nights from the same musical performed by Arman Ferrer. Actually, Teacher Arman, hello po. Actually, si Teacher Arman yung one of my first voice teachers. And yeah, diba? Small world talaga. And ayun, song number 6 being Empty Chairs at Empty Tables. Si Kuya Josh, he's actually he's our parang class president sa NSTP, si Watsky, under Ma'am Daisy. Ma'am Daisy, hi if you're here. Anyways, grabe. Wala lang, I just wanted to put all my shout outs habang kaya pa. Anyways, speaking of shout outs related to sa new normal, diba? And my question is, my dear guests, actually our dear guests, with musical theater in this new normal, what are the ideal attitudes or values a musical theater or a performance artist should embody, especially given these circumstances?
I think most of our artists are already taking on this pandemic quite well. I mean, don't you think, Charlie? I mean,
So
there are
people
difficult.
are
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
people are adapting quite well. Sorry about that. Yeah, and they're taking the reins on their own, and they're adapting and creating new work. So I feel like if we continue to be open and to not allow this entire weird pandemic
Yeah,
to
it's a weird
stop our
situation.
creative juices to to flow. Just allow yourself to continue creating new work, even if the reach is on your social media, so just continue doing that.
Yeah. This was years and years ago, but
Mhm.
Sir Dexter Santos. You know Sir Dexter, right? He's from the theater, and he's one of the most prolific directors here in the Philippines. And actually, even now, even during this pandemic, he directed like four online plays, online
Mhm.
performances, which was really great. So he really took initiative on that. So years ago, I remember he didn't say this to me, but he said this in general, like in our craft, in our discipline, you just continue creating. And you just don't stop, no matter, even if it's difficult, even, for example, if it seems to be liked by not so many people, you just keep on creating. Because whatever you put out there is, it might not be good for everyone, but the important thing is that you created something, and that you put it out there, and if it's out there, then something can come out of it.
Mhm.
So I think that's a very important mindset, especially now. Especially in during the onset of this pandemic, there was a lot of discouragement, wasn't there, Charlie? Like, even me personally, it was a huge weight, huge like weight of this, being disappointed and discouraged about it. But if you let that drag you down, right? And I know it's difficult, but I guess you just pushing forward to it and just continuing to do so.
It's just the timing. It's the timing of it all, that like everything was happening and then all of a sudden everything came to a standstill. So I think the best thing that artists can do now is just continue learning. If you're not creating something, continue learning as well.
Yeah.
Hone your skills, your skill sets, and learn something new, because once everything opens, and it will, that it will, then you're ready.
Mhm.
Then you can show the world that, hey, I've actually worked on myself during this time, and here's the better version of me.
Yeah,
So
you'll come
take
back.
me, baby.
You'll come back stronger and fiercer and more like, rah, ready.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I remember, I think this is a perfect chance to quote Sir Floy Quintos. So Sir Floy wrote this beautiful, wonderful play called Fluid, and in it, one of the characters says, I forget now who she is, but it is a she in the play. She says that an artist must there comes a point in time where artists must go away, must hibernate, so that they can reflect, and when they do come back, then they will be like, they will be different, they will give more, they can contribute more. And I think that I think you can look at this one as a forced hibernation to some of us, not all, to some of us, so that when, as Charlie said, when everything opens and when everything is ready to be live again, and more, with more things to offer. And I think that's also a good way of looking at it. Even if you're not creating, like, maybe pursue other passions, because you never know
Mhm.
that. Yeah, who was it who said that a well-rounded artist is someone who, like, just learns a lot about the world, and then lets everything that they that all like lets their experiences manifest in their art.
Mhm.
That's a beautiful way of doing it. Even if you, like, if even maybe if you're thinking like, oh, I can't take dance classes, oh, I can't take singing classes, it's fine. Just continue discovering things. That's basically it. Yeah. I think that's I think that and that's an actor's primary job, isn't it, Charlie? Like,
Yeah, to
to
discover, to
discover
be
things.
curious about everything, and be curious in such detail that you actually look closer and deeper into
Mm,
that particular thing.
Yes, beautifully put. Ah, it's great.
yes. I actually agree with what Sir Earl and Mom Charlie said. Na, I personally, right now, I'm thinking of this era of my, at least my life, as a time for me to develop my skills. You know, because before the pre-pandemic, parang sobrang preoccupied, ang daming kailangan gawin, dapat nandun ka palagi. At least
Yeah.
ngayon, kahit na you're on your comfort zone, parang meron kang chance na gawin yung kailangan mong i-develop, yung mga skills yan. Discover, yes. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much for that, Sir Earl and Ma'am Charlie.
yeah.
How about you, Luke?
Wow, I was put on the spot here. I wasn't expecting to answer that. This was a total Uno reverse card, Keiko. But back to you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Very.
I have another question po pala. Given that everything, the musical theater is continuously developing, lalo na po ngayon sa online scene, do you think na after this pandemic, mag-proceed pa rin yung ganitong setup? Like, I'm not sure if there, baka mamaya meron na mga nabubuo na panibagong, ano ba? Paano ba to? Yung ways ng produce. Parang feeling ko,
Platforms, yeah.
for sure, meron pong gumagawa na ngayon
Yeah.
na. So, sa tingin niyo po, Ma'am and Sir, if, will this setup continue even if the pandemic is done? Or
Yeah. I think, I think us not acknowledging the setup moving forward is going to be a step backward if we didn't, actually. And I think moving forward, it will be, and I tell this to my students in in performance classes and speaking classes. I tell this to my students that moving forward, I think it is going to be a key skill to have, you being able to perform in front of a camera or doing your own setup in order to give like a short speech or a short performance or something that you can tape yourself and send or like just contribute to the pool. I think it will be a key skill to have. But but moving forward, and as Charlie has said, when we do go back live, I mean, I know that we will go, like a lot of us will be eager to go back, and the audiences will also be eager to see live performances again. But at the same time, I guess this is also a great opportunity for us to learn how to make how to make those shows accessible in the online world, because that's one thing that we saw or that we are seeing right now in the pandemic. It's like, oh, all of a sudden, because like for example, when Holding El Bimbo was streamed for free on YouTube, all its reach was so wide because everyone was able to watch it for free and was in an accessible platform. And I think that's something that we can all think about as a community moving forward. How do we do that in our practice moving forward, even if we do go back live to the theaters? And the UK has been doing that. I mean, that's why they can stream, the national theater can stream shows. That's why the theater companies can like do that, because they have the HD capability of like capturing their plays live and then sharing it to the world.
Yeah, the National Theatre actually has been doing that since 2009. So so moving forward, if we can adapt that, then it will be, and furthermore promote Filipino work, original Filipino
Yes.
musicals, then oh my goodness, our theater industry will be booming. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
It
because
can be shared all over Asia.
yeah, because we're actually beginning to do that. Like CCP, like before I left, like CCP shot the VLF 14 like selected plays in high definition, and then eventually during this pandemic, like at the onset of this pandemic, we released the HD recordings of our plays. Like Contrabida was released, and then the rest of the VLF 14 plays were also shown. And I think that's a great step into the right direction, into the next direction that we can take.
Yes.
I mean, and during this pandemic, Ballet Philippines also did that with their Christmas video production. So I think we're moving in a good direction, and even before the pandemic, we were in the right direction. I mean, if there's one thing that we can learn, like moving forward, it's that we don't regress when we do come back, that we don't regress, that post pandemic, I think, is not the time to be safe. It is, yeah, we need to be more daring in producing work, in creating new work, in innovating, moving forward, because
Mm-mm.
there's a tendency to be, after a crisis, there's a tendency to be like, oh, okay, so let's go back to basics and then just settle down. But I think that'll be counterproductive, and I think that's something we can seriously think about.
And I think when you say that we have to be daring, it's not just the big companies that has to do this. Every single one of us does. I mean, we should all try to create something. Go with your group of friends, like create a theater company. Our acting teacher is her advocacy is to make sure that actors do not wait for a company to hire them, because the
Yes.
actor itself is already creating on their own. So that's the dream. Like, don't be afraid and don't wait for other people to hire you. Be
Yeah.
creatives as you are.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of my friends who are performers here in the Philippines also discovered, and I was so happy to see that most of them were churning out work and sharing their streams, or sharing their work on their Facebook walls, on their YouTube channels, and just collaborating with each other. That's amazing. That's like, wow. That's something that, I mean, in the pre-pandemic, we weren't, because I guess we were too busy. We were all working, and we were all, we got used to being hired and to, waiting, quote unquote. But now that we don't have that luxury, it's like a fire is lit under our butts, isn't it? Like, oh my god, I need to create, and that's how we create. And so many good things have come out of it, and I guess moving forward, we should continue that. And the Philippines was, we have budding small theater companies, which I think are producing such great work. So that'll definitely be good. And and I think, moving forward, our musical should release scores and manuscripts. This is something that Charlie and I have been talking
Yes,
about,
absolutely.
because our plays are documented. They release scripts, they produce their scripts and make it accessible to the public. But our musicals, they don't have, like,
They
published
don't have actual
scores.
scores.
Yeah,
Mhm.
published scores. We should have that, because that's a way of promoting the musical and making sure that it's a lingering work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And maybe also invest on high quality videos, maybe a pre-recorded dress rehearsal without an audience, so that we can actually share these to schools in the provinces who do not have the access yet to a live performance.
Well, that's
Yeah.
very interesting. Those are very interesting points. The Bakeko. Well, actually, in relation to that, well, since you brought up like about the importance of having recorded manuscripts, I would like to ask. I think I had some permutation of this question, but how would you envision theater productions in general in the Philippines once the pandemic is over?
Hmm. Charlie, how would you envision? I need
It's
to.
hard to say. I think, we've been saying that what has been happening pre-pandemic was going on the right direction, right? The Philippines was producing so many original Filipino music and original Filipino productions, and I feel like in an ideal world, everybody, a lot of theater companies would be producing their own work, their
Yes.
own, that would
Be
show.
glorious.
Yeah, it's great that we do all of these covers of, West End and Broadway shows, and we get copyrights and we produce them in our country, but then at the same time it lacks the Filipino spirit, because you can only show that in a true Filipino production. Like,
Yeah.
that's why Huling El Bimbo was so explosive. It was, everybody was so happy about it, and its reach, as we've reiterated over and over, was incredible. You can't even imagine it. I don't think any other production has reached that much views, or on YouTube,
Yeah.
because its popularity has just exploded. And because I feel that they've used something truly Filipino, and they've produced it and allowed the masses to watch it. So I
Yeah.
think that would be the ideal, to be producing original Filipino music and musicals, and
Yeah.
just showing them all over Manila and in the provinces.
And to piggyback on that, I mean, right before we went into lockdown, the cultural center of the Philippines was also producing like lamang, like ibalong, all of these things, like these stories of us, because I mean, the Philippines has so many epic stories. Even if you think like it's these folk stories or these contemporary stories, we have so many of it. We have so
Mm.
much material we can tap into, and like Virgin Lab Fest does that every year, and it was and it is continuously gaining support from like from the community and from people like around the country. And I guess like just continuing to do that would be great. And I think post pandemic, I mean, how our theater scene would look like is, just I think we're as I said, we're stepping into that direction where we're finding our own identity as an artistic community,
Mhm.
not just in Asia but like in the world. Like we're in that direction of saying, this is what Filipino theater is, and that's very exciting, isn't it? It's a very exciting time to be part of that, and to witness that happen. um, I just hope that we continue it, despite the hardships that we are facing, despite the difficulties we are facing, like as a community of artists and as people. I mean, it's no secret that we lack support. As Filipino artists, we lack support. That's one thing that we lack so much. We can go on and write a novel about it, but but I mean, there are people who are making moves, and I think that's great to know, and that's good. That's a good way to continue.
Well, that's actually quite a bright future to see, and I do hope that Philippine theater industry really does take the steps. Pero grabe, I can't wait for once everything's already good and it's nakakamiss, no, now watching a theater show or any live performance.
Yes,
Yeah.
totoo.
Grabe. So,
Mm-mm.
Keiko, do you have any more questions for our dear guests?
I think I've learned a lot already. Pero yes, thank you so much po talaga, because we have learned so much tonight, and we were inspired with everything that you have shared with us. Uh, parang na-realize ko na even if we feel like we are taken aback, we're actually moving forward. So,
Yes,
yes.
we are. I mean, I think that's a physical, that's a scientific physical constant. Like we are moving forward, even though it feels slow.
Yes. Thank you so much po.
Oh,
Oh, I think
Uh,
yeah.
she lagged. Keiko, medyo naglalag ka, besh. Okay, anyways, I think I'll be asking na lang the next question since Keiko's connection seems to be lagging right now. So, ayun, so before we move on to this next part, Sir Earl and Miss Charlie, is there anything you want to say? I guess closing remarks for our live, actually true naman, our live studio audience.
yes.
Go, love. I mean, what's your
Oh, shucks.
Charlie, love? What's your message?
My message. Wow. um,
Wow.
ano ba? Just my message to everybody, to artists. Is that the question, or
Yes
just
po.
in
General
about
message
theater in
to
general?
yes po, Miss Charlie.
Um, yeah, just don't be afraid to grow. Um, even myself, I feel like people are saying that I shouldn't worry or whatever, but actually I do worry. I do worry about the future, but I have to constantly remind myself that it's not, I'm not stuck. I'm I'm growing. I'm doing the necessary steps, and even if at the moment it seems like there's no glimmer of hope, we just have to wait and
Oh,
hold
wow.
on and think about what we have to do so that once everything is back, we're ready.
Yeah.
Very
That's
good.
it.
Very well
Wow.
said, Miss Charlie. How about you, Sir Earl?
For me, I guess, we here experiencing this now, the current setup that we now, and all of the calamities, the difficulties, the situations we have found ourselves. Um, I guess the best thing to is to not forget what we have experienced and what we are experiencing, and moving forward, take that with us and make it something wonderful, and something that will shape us to be better, because that's the, all this crap that's happened, basically, uh you can either like let it bog you down, like you can let these like heavy burdens bog you down, or you can put them under you and you can use them as stepping stones to rise, right? So that's it. That's just remember that this moment that you are in right now, it pass, I guess, and that when you come out of it, you'll come out so much, like come out different, perhaps stronger, perhaps not as strong. I mean, but you will come out different, and different is always change. Like, being changed is always is an exciting moment in one's life, isn't it? So it's, yeah, just just take the lessons of now and bring it to tomorrow, I guess.
Yes, that's
Well
very
said.
inspirational.
Wow, that's very well said, our dear guest. Grabe. And I really think this is such a message that I hope a lot of people get to hear. Now you just keep holding on. Things are gonna get better one day.
It's gonna
And
get
alam nyo,
better.
grabe. Again, thank you so much. This was really such a fun discussion. And, because it was a fun night, baka pwede tayo po mag-picture.
Yes, please.
Of course.
Sure, why
Ayun,
not?
so
Wait,
picture
wait,
po
wait.
muna
Let me just,
tayo.
yeah. Okay.
Tayo
Sige po.
Sige po.
just nga lang ba
Okay,
sa
unahin muna
screen?
natin ang formal.
Oh, wait, wait,
Ayun,
wait,
sana
wait.
po. Yes po.
Okay. Are
Ayun,
we
ready
taking
na
it
po.
now? Yeah.
Yes po. Mga audience
I'm ready.
members, please help us.
Graduate.
Take a picture of us too. Ayun. Sige, pose for 5 seconds now. Ayun, now wacky naman po tayo.
Wow.
Talagang
Yung
photo
totoong
op po
wacky,
talaga ito.
hindi yung
Ay,
cute wacky.
sige po. Challenge accepted.
Ugliest
Oh
face.
no.
Ayun po, salamat po. Ayun,
Thank
so
you
Ate
so much
Keiko.
po.
Thank you.
Yes, Ma'am
Thank you
Charlie
for having us.
and
It was
Thank
Sir
such a
you.
Earl.
pleasure. Yeah.
Yes, it was such an honor having you here with us tonight. And too bad we have
Thank you so
to
much as well.
Thank
Sige
you.
po.
we have to come we need to come to an end. Am I
Yes, that's true,
lagging? I'm
Keiko. Yes, you're lagging a bit, but it's okay, Ate
sorry.
Keiko. But it's
Hold
okay
on,
po. But
internet.
anyways, let's continue on with this. So again, we'd like to thank again UP Voice and Music Theater Guild in partnership with the UP College of Music Student Council and Rick Mueller and Kaisberg Pianos. Thank you for helping us bring season 2. So we hope to see you again next week for another episode of The Show Must Go On season 2, where we will be reflecting for the Lent season with sacred works. So ayun. So Ate Keiko, wanna present the last segment before we bid farewell?
Yes. So before we finally end the show, we would like to present to you our final performance from our very special guest, Charley and Sir Earle. This is What You Mean to Me.
That's a
from
surprise.
Finding Neverland, the musical. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And good
Have a nice
night.
evening.
Good night,
Once again, I am
Bye.
Keiko Karanga. Yes.
And I am Luke Stephen Tongson, and we are your hosts for tonight, signing off. Have a pleasant night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Standing here all at once, all the words run dry.
Something's changed, can't explain, and I can't deny.
Turning in circles and blurring the lines, the unspoken is calling us tonight. I won't lie, I'm a little bit frightened of my imagination. Swear I'll try, but I'm feeling enlightened. You're my inspiration. We can fly if we want to. I promise you faith will give you wings. Just take the second star on the right, straight ahead to the morning light. Just take the second star on the right, straight ahead to the morning light. Every word in every sentence doesn't seem to make a difference. Nothing can explain just what you mean to me.
Every shape and all the colors, all the love from all the lovers, never could express just what you mean to me.
Every instinct, every feeling,
every
breathless, all my senses reeling, cannot even say just what you mean to me. Turning in circles and blurring the lines, I won't lie, I'm a little bit frightened of my imagination. Swear I'll try, but I'm feeling enlightened. You're my inspiration. We can fly if we want to. I promise you faith will give you wings. Just take the second star on the right, straight ahead to the morning light. Just take the second star on the right, straight ahead to the morning light. Every star that's ever fallen knows the way to where we're going.